Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Okay, well I am super stoked and super excited because today I will be chatting with Sarah Wells. Sarah, meet all of our viewers.
Hello, so excited.
Sarah is an Olympian, the founder of the Believe Initiative, and so much more. So I'm so excited to be chatting with her for my series, Mission Empower. So I don't want to spoil everything for you guys. I'll let Sarah do that. And yeah, so Sarah, do you want to talk, give a little bit of an introduction about who you are and yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for having me, Arissa. This is awesome. You know you're a leader when you're just like, you know what, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to reach out to this person, this person, and this person. Like, you've got everything all lined up. Like, it's amazing. It's super impressive. So a little bit about me is, yes, I'm an Olympic athlete, which is super fun and exciting. But what's something people don't know about me is I'm actually really terrible at sports. I'm so bad at sports. In the 9th grade, when I showed up to high school, I actually got cut from every single team I tried out for. Basketball, volleyball, badminton, soccer, field hockey. Like, I got cut from every single team.
Wow.
And I really didn't think that I was athletic. I just thought, okay, well, that's just not my jam. And so I let the whole 9th grade kind of go by until in gym class one day, a teacher saw me and he's like, hey, I saw you run after that ball. Like, you need to do track and field. And I was like, dude, you don't want me in your team. Like, I already got cut from all the, like, talk to the other teachers, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I think I could teach you how to hurdle. Because what he saw me do was run to the ball, get there, do nothing with it, like scramble to give it away, and then like run up to catch up ahead. So he was like, if I teach you how to hurdle, like, you know how to stop and accelerate. And so that high school teacher changed my life because I found hurdles and I fell in love with the sport, and I actually happened to be kind of good. And that high school teacher ended up being my coach for 9 years until we made the Olympics together.
Wow.
And it's really unheard of because you don't often stay with your first coach or your high school teacher as your coach all the way to the Olympics. So that's a wild story.
That's amazing. I am, I'd say I'm not that great at sports either. I mean, I don't think I'll become an Olympic athlete, but
who knows?
Yeah, that's true. Your story just displays how anything and everything is possible. So that's amazing. Well, I guess we'll start off with some questions about, what being an Olympic athlete has been like for you. So, I guess this was not always your dream. You never imagined you would go to the Olympics, I'm assuming.
No, yeah, you're so right. Like, because I got cut from all those teams, I just made the assumption that there's no way that I would become an Olympian. And even when I started to get into the sport, I didn't think that I would reach the level that I did, because I was like, okay, maybe I'm good at my like city level. Okay, maybe I'm good at my provincial level. Okay, maybe I'm good like at, my event, like in this kind of region area. And then it was like, oh, okay, I can be like, it was just like these new heights kept exposing them. Like, I kept uncovering them. And so, I wasn't the kid who grew up saying, I'm going to become an Olympian one day. It was thanks to that coach that I spoke about and family members and friends that really supported me, and they believed in me before I ever believed in myself. And I think that's what's really important, probably for all of your viewers and people as they're going through middle school and high school and even into college, like how important it is to create that support network around you, because sometimes you don't see that big dream for yourself, because we all are, we get in our own heads, and we might believe so strongly in other people, but we don't have that same sense of belief in ourselves. And so it's really important to build up that support structure and ask people for help and find people that inspire you, because they might help you uncover what's truly possible.
Right. Amazing advice. I'm definitely going to remember that. So throughout your journey, I'm sure that there have been several hurdles, I guess. You've had to jump over, several speed bumps. do you have one like specifically that you was, a very pivotal moment in your life and something that really changed you, I guess?
Yeah. So the year before my first Olympics, I was at a training camp and I was doing everything I could to develop and get better and get stronger because I had never touched Olympic standard before. So that's that minimum qualifying time you have to hit in order to go to the Olympics.
Right.
I had only ever run 56 seconds for the 400-meter hurdles, and you needed to run 55 seconds in order to qualify.
Wow.
And since the sport of track and field, like milliseconds matter, right?
Yeah.
And so a whole second is a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I need to work so hard that I need to keep like training my butt off to make sure I make this dream come true.
Yeah.
And at that training camp, when I was pushing really hard, I woke up one morning and I got this like searing pain at my leg. And it was really strange because I didn't hurt myself the day before. Like I didn't have a moment of impact, or I didn't pull anything, or like, who knows? Like, so I was like, this has to go away quickly. Like, hopefully this is something small, because there was no incident, Yeah. And so for many weeks, we can't figure it out because it's not a muscle. Like it doesn't seem to like, it hurts at weird times. Like it was just the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And after so many weeks, we eventually found out that it was my bone, my femur, which is your massive thigh bone, the biggest bone in your entire body.
Yeah.
And mine was deteriorating from the inside out, and it was cracking, and it's called a stress fracture. And it's from overuse of pounding. I was doing so much training and I wasn't valuing the importance of recovery. And that ultimately led to my bones starting to break in half. But because this is the year before the Olympics, I was like, oh no, like I have this dream, like I don't have time to be injured, like I have to improve a whole second. And so I ended up going to see a special sports medicine doctor, and I asked, okay, what do we do? Like how are we going to manage this? And he told me that I would have to sit out for 3 months. And that 3 months was already way too long. Like I didn't have time. And I remember like crying myself to sleep that night when I learned this and questioning my self-worth and considering giving up. But luckily, like the next morning when I woke up, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go see my physiotherapist. And in that meeting, I had this, again, amazing support person who talked to me about how we can stay fit, how we can stay motivated, what are the things we can do to stay within reach of the goal, and really focus in on what's in my control, because the injury was out of my control at that point. And so, the importance of kind of being, okay, well, what can we do? And so then it would feel like I climbed to the top of the mountain again. Okay, like maybe this is possible. Maybe I can do this.
Yeah.
And I would fall off the edge of the cliff and question my self-worth and consider giving up. And, it was really, really hard. And this went on for 3 months.
Wow.
And when I went to see the doctor after the 3 months, I was like, okay, let's go, let's train, let's do this. And he's like, it's not healed yet. Come back in another month. And that 4th month ended up turning into 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. And so for 9 months, the year before the Olympics, I'm sitting down doing nothing. And everyone around me reminded me to remain realistic, that it was an impossible goal. And I had now made it more challenging by sitting around.
Yeah.
But on my first day back to training, I got the word believe tattooed onto my wrist. And I said, when I make the Olympic Games, I'm going to put the Olympic rings underneath here.
Wow.
And super bold move. Don't suggest all of your followers tattoo themselves. But I often challenge people to think about what's your word or phrase or quote that reminds you of all of the obstacles you've already overcome, the strength that you have inside. And for me, that word was belief. Wow. And so I would look down at that time and time again through my training. And 6 months later, after like getting, at the beginning, getting beat by people I should have never been getting beat by. But I just kept building like one brick at a time, slowly. And when Olympic trials came around, I knew if I won the race, I was going to the London Olympics.
Right.
Poured my heart and soul into that race. I felt like no one wanted it more than I did. And when I crossed the finish line, I run 55 seconds, Olympic standard, win the race, and I go to the London Olympic Games. Oh, and I come home and I finish the tattoo.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly where I said I would. And it was wild. It was truthfully wild.
That's oh my God, that's crazy. I guess that totally, represents the power of the mind, the power of, this will to do something, to actually achieve what you want to achieve. And, going to the Olympics, like, it sounds like your whole life was around this goal. And, I think, from your story, you really worked for it. And I guess that is so amazing. And, there's so many people who have these goals and want to achieve them so much, and like just want to, be there, go to the top of the mountain, say that I've done it. So what exactly do you think we need to do in order to achieve that? Like, I know you talked about believing in yourself, keep going, but what are like specific things we can do?
So I think a big thing, when people hear believe in yourself, it sounds fluffy, right? We think it's for people who have their head in the clouds,
right?
People who don't understand reality, like, oh, that's for people who don't get it.
Right.
But like you said, like, there's such power in the mind. And so believing in yourself doesn't mean walking into a scenario and being like, I got this because I believe in myself. It's like, okay, that might not be enough.
Yeah.
But believing in yourself is being brave enough to set a goal and a vision so big, so scary, like so powerful that some people might think you're crazy for doing that. And then knowing that you're going to have the grit to face obstacles, to know that it's going to be challenging along the way, and you're willing to face it, and then have the resilience to overcome every single obstacle on the path to your goal in order to achieve it. That's what believing in yourself means. Setting a crazy, wild vision, being ambitious enough to put it out there, then knowing you're going to have to face challenges and doing it anyways, having that grit, and then having the resilience to not only come over just one obstacle, but potentially 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 obstacles in order to get that thing. That's what believing in yourself means to me. And some like action steps that you can take to do that is finding your word. Like I said, like for me, having an affirmation, a word, a thing to remind me to get back on track, quite literally. That's a big thing. Another big thing is journaling, writing down into a notebook. For me, like mine, because it was training related, I would write down, what was the workout? How did I feel? Well, how did I sleep the night before? What other things were happening in my life? Because by having that log, sometimes we can convince ourselves of stories that are completely untrue. So it's like you have one bad workout and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so bad. I'm never going to make the Olympics. Like, there's no possible way. Like, I'm so bad at life. But if I look back at that journal and I look, 2 days ago, I had an amazing workout. And 2 days before that, I had another amazing workout. So did I have a bad day today? Yes. Am I as terrible as I think I am right now? No, because look at all these other great workouts. And so by people writing a journal for no matter what they're facing, like, okay, today was a good day at school, bad day at school, or today I felt inspired and motivated. Okay, tomorrow I didn't. And then in the moment where, or not tomorrow I didn't, you can't predict tomorrow, but, as you go through your life, like certainly there might be darker weeks or more challenging times, exhibit A. And then we can look back and see the strength that we know we have because we've seen it in other moments, or we can see that the story we're telling ourselves today isn't necessarily true. It's just that today is a bad day, and we're all going to have those. And sometimes we just need people or tools like a journal to remind us that like we are stronger than we think we are.
Amazing advice. I'm going to grab my journal and start writing down. I feel like, as you said, there's so many, negative things that happen in life. But when you actually look at the big picture, you see that, there's so many positive things happening as well. And that, you might not be as bad as you think you are. And I think that's a great, great tool. So, we're talking about belief and believing in yourself. So I think that transitions perfectly into the Believe Initiative. So do you want to tell me and tell us, all of our viewers more about it?
Yes, I would love to. So the Believe Initiative is an organization I founded that helps people build self-belief through action. And where that all came from was, I just told you guys the story of how in 2012 I got the injury and then I made it to the Olympics. But 4 years later, the Olympics came back around and I had been developing as an athlete, like continuously. I was getting faster and stronger. And so at that next Olympics, I was favored to be in the Olympic final and like perform well for Canada because I had just come off winning a silver medal at the Pan American Games.
Okay.
And so I was ready to go to the Olympics again, win my medal, and then retire, call it a career, be like, great, my life is awesome. But right before the 2016 Olympic trials, 2 months before, I had a workout where I should have never worked out because my hamstrings were super tight, but I was so scared not to do everything. I had to do it because I needed to go win a medal and I didn't want to let everyone down.
Yeah.
So I worked out anyways, and I ended up tearing my hamstring. And I was so mad at myself because I already had the comeback story. I did the thing where I got injured and I came back. I was like, I don't need to do that again. This sucks. Like, I'm 2 months out from the 2016 Olympic trials.
Yeah.
And so I do everything I can to rush back, and I do acupuncture and cryo chamber and like laser therapy and everything, you know, to come back. And I get to about 90% healed. And when I stood on the start line at the 2016 Rio Olympic trials, I was like, okay, I've been here before. I showed up, I won, I believe in me, like I can do this.
Yeah.
And again, I like come out of the block so fast and I'm like leading the race halfway through. The announcer's like, that's Sarah Wells in lane 4. I'm like, shut up, man, I'm trying to focus. And I'm charging towards the finish line, fighting with all these other girls. Like, we're all approaching the finish line. And when we lean, I end up getting 4th. And I miss qualifying for the Olympics by only half a second. And I was so heartbroken because for 4 years I had been known as Sarah Wells, the Olympian.
Yeah.
And now Sarah Wells, the Olympian, doesn't make the Olympics. And it was devastating and heartbreaking. And I felt like I had failed everyone. And so I actually didn't go back to the track for a whole year. I couldn't. It was too hard. It was too painful. And what ended up happening is I did some journaling and reflection because I was worried. I was like, oh my God, have I been lying to people for 4 years? Because I've been telling people, if you believe in yourself, you achieve your goal, right? That's what happened the first time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, but I believed in myself this time and I did not achieve my goal.
Yeah.
And so is believing in yourself a joke? Is it just something people tell you to make you feel better? And I really questioned it. I really did. Yeah. And when I started to go back through it, I was like, you know what? I actually believe in myself more strongly after not achieving my goal, because I was willing to stand on the start line anyways and go for it and like choose to like try regardless of my circumstances. And that showed me like, you can do anything, because even in the most painful and grueling moments, like you still know how to show up. And so I was like, oh, maybe you don't build self-belief through achievements, but you build self-belief through action. And I was like, okay, well, how can I help other people build self-belief through action? Yeah. And that's when I founded the Believe Initiative. And so we have traveled all across North America to schools and students everywhere. And we help you pick a passion that you have and a problem that you want to solve. And you use that passion to solve that problem. And you build self-belief through action. And we've had students do some amazing things through the program. Like, there was 2 students who their passion was robotics. They really had learned a bunch about robots and they thought it was super cool. Yeah. And then the problem they wanted to solve was mental health. And what they decided is like, okay, how am I going to use robotics to solve mental health? Yeah. And what they ended up doing is they had learned in science class that certain wavelengths of light trigger your serotonin receptors and your happy hormones in your brain. And so they created this like robot light that emits only those wavelengths of light so that it would trigger your serotonin receptors when you turn it on, and it would help fight depression and anxiety. So that was one project that's come out of it. And then we had another student who's like, my passion is sneakers. I have this passion, like, you know, Nike has this, Kanye has this, Adidas has that. Yeah. And the problem that he wanted to solve was youth homelessness. And so he ended up taking his passion for sneakers. He would go on the school announcements, knock door to door, ask people to give him shoes that they didn't need anymore. And then he went and got sneaker cleanup kits, shined them all up, made them spicky and span, and then donated them to a youth shelter for kids who would never be able to unwrap like a fresh new pair of kicks. And they suddenly got to experience having a pair of Nikes and stuff like that. And so we've had over 5,000 students now do projects like this, and it's been so inspiring to watch them do it. And since coronavirus time has happened, we have now shifted the program online, and I've been coaching groups of students build out their like programs or ideas into, so they can build self-belief through action. And not only do I then get to help them, but then they help 10 people or 100 people, and so it just ripples well beyond. And it's really, really fun because I thought the only way I could inspire people was being fast on the track. I thought I could only inspire people if I was successful there. But now I've realized that far more people tell me they're more inspired by the time where I didn't make the Olympics over the time where I did. And I think that's really humbling for all of us to learn and understand, is that like we potentially are more inspiring when we fail. Like, isn't that such a like we don't think that. We really don't. And so it's important that we all understand the importance of growth and failure and learning, and just taking action. Like, that's the best part. Like, it might not be the right path, but by taking action, you're going to figure that out, and you're going to show yourself more and more of like the skills and strength that you have.
For sure. That's amazing. I love the Believe Initiative. I mean, it hasn't come to, I think you went to North Toronto Collegiate, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
So I'm going there in grade 9. So maybe
next year.
Next year. So maybe one day
we'll have to come back.
Yeah, but it sounds incredible. So what do you think, like, are you continuing to grow this initiative? Are you trying to establish it outside of Canada? Where do you want to see it in like 5 years or something like that?
So we have already expanded into the US. And so that's really exciting. We're in Canada and the US now.
Okay.
And where I see it going is, right now the Believe Initiative has been me marching around school to school. But what I would love to do even more now is, how do I teach people like you or some of your listeners or viewers to create their own programs and their initiatives? So then, then the impact can grow far and wide. And so I've been doing that, and we've been helping kids create programs around how can they instill a wellness program at their school, or a high performance mindset, or someone's talking about nutrition and supplementation as part of a program that they're running. And so it's in 5 years, like, I hope to be running cohorts of students all over the world, because we're all seeing the power of digital now, of how easy it is to access and teach and coach through an online portal. And so I would love to have students from all over the world teaching them how to design their own program. So then that way, yes, I can still do my work with the Believe Initiative, but I can also help others create their version of the Believe Initiative. So that's my plan, really.
And for me, I guess one of the main things about my work is definitely trying to be like a rock when you throw it in like a lake or something, to see those ripples being created. And I think that you are totally doing that as well, running the Believe Initiative, inspiring youth and others to start their own things. But it's amazing. And Sarah, you definitely are like a rock when you throw it in a lake. So.
You're very sweet. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
So I guess, like, if you could tell, I'm going to shift to some other questions. So if you could tell your younger self one thing, and like give your younger self one piece of advice, what would you say? What would you tell your younger self?
So beyond the importance of believing in yourself, which I know we've already spoken enough about today, the other major thing is ask for help. Because so much of what I've been able to accomplish in my life has been thanks to people helping me along the way. And so, like, any moment you feel kind of unsure about something, ask someone for their advice around it. Anytime you feel like you don't have the information, ask someone who you think does, and they can teach, like, they shortcut your pathway to gaining that knowledge. Anytime you're feeling unsettled or mentally unwell, ask for help. Like, there's been a massive movement around the importance of that these days.
Yeah.
And so it's just like every single time, if we asked for help, we would accelerate our growth like well beyond what if we tried to do it alone.
Yeah.
And I think, like understanding that early is so important, because you can do so much more when you include others in the journey. And it's also more enjoyable. You get to share that with other people, right?
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I love that advice. And I think that as especially like someone my age, asking for help seems like something that shows, weakness. But I think, if I would, say something about that, I would say like, it shows how strong you are when you're able to ask for help, because honestly, as humans, we don't know everything. We don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
And so asking people, learning from each other, growing together and collectively is so important. And I feel like in society in general, that's how we, build our world. And
it's so true. It's so true. And I think that there's people who are really curious and ask questions and ask for help. Often you'll hear that like really successful mentor, like people that are like sought after mentors, they like coaching or mentoring people who are curious and ask questions and ask for help, because that shows intelligence. It really does. Like you said, like it's strength, it's intelligence. And so by asking for help, you're not making yourself look weak, you're actually making yourself look better. And I agree that it's a mindset shift we all need to make.
For sure. So, I'm curious to know, I guess like your experiences have been extremely inspiring for you, but what other places do you find inspiration?
I love being outside, specifically in the sunshine, more specifically in the sunshine. But for me, like when I go for a run or for a walk and I try to like keep my phone away, then it's like being outside and just like running or walking. It's like you let your mind play. And in doing that, you start to like make connections that you maybe wouldn't have otherwise. And so I think it's really important that we get outside, get away from our devices, and let our brain play. And that can be physical play as well. Like you actually like go out and do some activity that is like a form of play. But I think, whether if your form of play is like a board game, then like every chance you get to play that board game outside, like I would encourage it. Because it's just, being outside for me, like I'm like looking out my window right now being like, oh my God, I love it out there. But it's like you can feel the energy like from the environment just like being absorbed into you. And so for me, like a big source of inspiration comes from being outside and letting my brain play. And the second place that I often am very inspired is I have really wonderful, amazing siblings. And I'm sure everyone feels, at least some people feel this way about their own siblings, but I think I have the best siblings. And they've always been incredible supports for me. They are so fun. It's like we have the same sense of humor. They are also really high achievers, and I just feel like I can always count on them if I needed them. And so they're a big source of inspiration for me, because everything I do, like I want to make them proud, or I want to level up to like, oh my gosh, they're doing such cool stuff, like I want to do it. And it's like it's not this like sibling competitiveness, it's like this inspiration that they can become. And it's just, I feel really lucky to have the relationship that I do with, I have 2 older sisters and 1 younger brother. And so there's 4 of us. And so it's nice to have all these different options, and we're all just really, really close. And I feel really lucky and inspired by them.
Oh, that's so sweet. I have a younger brother. At times it can be difficult, but at the end of the day, I think that, our family and people we actually interact with the most are often some of our greatest inspirations, because they know so much about us, and we know so much about them. So I definitely agree with you on that one.
Absolutely.
So I guess my next question would be, I'm not sure if you know, but the United Nations is doing this, like thing. It's called UN 75 to mark, their 75th anniversary, and they're planning for the year 2030. And they have a bunch of these goals that they, want to achieve by that year. So in your opinion, what is one thing you would like to see happen in the world by 2030?
I mean, I think coronavirus is a big pillar of this, of treating our world a little kinder, and not with yes, with each other as human beings as well, and also with all of the carbon emissions and the rate that we were creating CO2 emissions, and just all of our kind of we really beat the planet up. And so I think by 2030, if all countries can reduce their carbon emissions drastically, and we live in a form that that we did in the zone of coronavirus without having coronavirus, and without having too many limitations on our ability to move around, but at the same time do it in an environmentally friendly way. And so I think if we don't take care of the planet, then what else is there? At that point, it doesn't matter about solving world hunger when the world's not growing plants.
For sure. I totally agree with that. And like you said, you find inspiration from nature, and so do I. And there's no nature, then where are we going to find inspiration from?
Right,
so
exactly.
Definitely agree with you on so many levels on that one. So Sarah, you lead, such a impactful life, such a, I don't want to say busy, but you're doing so many different things. So how do you manage all of those things? How do you manage, time for yourself and, I guess stress in your life? And how do you do that? And what advice would you give to people my age and just people in general?
So, I mean, I feel I don't know if it's the athlete in me where I like training programs, everything lined out. So for my days, I am schedule master galore. The day before, the night before, I schedule out, okay, what's the time I need to wake up at to fit in all the things that I know I need to get done that day. I schedule everything out, even if it's, kind of a task that's really big, okay, I needed to build a massive project that's actually going to take multiple days to complete. Well, then I will still schedule a 2-hour window to work on that project. And then, I have this call and that call and meeting this person, and I have to do this. And then one thing that is really important to me as an athlete is movement, because I think to manage the stress and sorry, my headphones just cut out. I'm gonna switch them, see if this works.
You good?
Should be good. I think so.
Okay.
Cool. So a big thing for me as an athlete is movement, and managing all that stress of a very busy day, very scheduled out, very little time for slow pauses to happen. Then to deal with that stress and strain, I have to schedule in movement and exercise. And so I will plan in a run, a bike ride, a longer walk if I need it to be a lower impact day. Because you can physiologically change your biochemistry by just moving your body. And so that's a big thing that, we're dealing with these stress hormones, and we might think oh my God, I can't control my hormone levels that are just happening. Guess what? You actually can through activity. You can control your hormone levels. And so it's a really big one for me of scheduling out my day, so I feel I know what I'm working on, when I'm working on it. It keeps me motivated because I'm oh God, I have to get this thing done in this 1 hour window, because next 1 hour window I have that other thing to work on.
Sure.
And not everyone's that's going to be their preference. I like a schedule. Some people don't like a schedule, and that's okay. But for me, I like scheduling, and then I like making sure there is movement in there at some point in the day to help cope with that release of any type of stress or strain that I'm putting on mentally through work.
For sure. I love that. I mean, I do something very similar. I plan my day before.
I have no doubt.
And yeah, honestly, like, I think it really helps. But like you said, it's not for everyone, but I think, you know, kind of the gist of what we were just talking about is making time for yourself is so important, and time to like just let go is a key. You know, I think for me, it's one of the main things that, you know, helps me achieve my goals. And, you know, when I want to get something done, making that time is so important. So,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, so I know we only have a few more minutes. I don't want to keep you for so long because, again, you're doing so many amazing things. But I do want to talk to you a little bit about something I've been really wanting to ask you about this. I know kind of the reason, not the reason, but I kind of found out about you and your story from Amazing Race Canada. And, you know, I'm such a big fan of the show. My family is, like, we watch it. It's kind of addictive as well. So what was your experience on that show, and what did you learn from it?
Oh my gosh, The Amazing Race, that's a whole other interview in itself.
Oh, Sarah? I can't, yeah. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Okay. Can you, no. Sorry.
Don't you worry. Okay, how's that?
Yeah, okay, perfect.
We're back. Okay, so yes, Amazing Race, wild ride. It truthfully could be an entire interview in itself.
Yeah.
I thought I could handle pressure and stress and strain because I competed on the world stage in front of 80,000 people, and that was very stressful. So I was like, no worries, like we can do this.
Yeah.
And what's very different is that when you prepare for the Olympics, you are well fed, well trained, well slept, like you do everything to like set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
On The Amazing Race, it's like, you know, you're forced out of bed early. There's all this extra stress of like panic and scramble, and like you don't have any, you don't know what to expect. Like you don't know what's coming next. And so it's all these new layers that just make it like very different than anything I've experienced in sport. And it was amazing. Like, I'm so glad we did it. And like, we had such a blast. But in the moment, you're like, this is terrible. Like, why did I do this? It's so stressful.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing I probably learned through it was how important it is to push yourself like way outside your comfort zone. Yeah. And I had done that, like, you know, I spoke about having the obstacle of the injury and then like creating the Believe initiative out of like a failure moment, and how often I like did try to push myself. But it's interesting to note like how I had to challenge myself. Like that was an area in sport that I was really comfortable in. So challenging myself there was easier than, you know, being dropped into challenges, like things I had never done before, and like being just so afraid. Like I can't swim, and I had to swim under the ice in North Carolina.
I saw that, yeah.
That was insane. So I'm bawling my eyes out on national television. Yeah. And but when I did that, it helped me redefine what was possible for me. Right. Because I no longer played in this, like, yes, I pushed myself, but I pushed myself in a safe environment, if that makes sense. And so it was about finding new environments and new ways to challenge myself, which I was able to do through The Amazing Race. And I think every time we do that, we try something new, we step outside of our comfort zone in a different arena, maybe with different people, with whatever, then you redefine what's possible for you. Right. And you start to diversify who you define yourself as. Because I put so much into like, I'm an athlete, I'm good at running, I can overcome running obstacles. But now it was like, oh, I'm good at running, but I also have all these other skills. And I know I can push myself not only in running, but I can also push myself in all of these other areas. Right. And that just helps you reinforce a story that's going to help you build your self-belief. That's going to help you challenge yourself. It's going to help you in so many different areas of your life. And I think that's what really came out of The Amazing Race for me, is I can redefine what's possible for me.
Yeah. Incredible. Amazing. Yeah. And I mean, I loved every episode. And just before like we finish up, did you have like a favorite challenge or favorite episode in the like?
So that ice challenge was my least favorite challenge for obvious reasons. I can't swim, it was freezing, I hated everything about it.
Yeah.
but at the same time, it was my favorite challenge because it was the thing that pushed me the most.
Right.
And so, after on the other side of it, I was like, oh, that was a good challenge. During it, I was like, what is happening? Yeah.
Easy. I love that. And I think, we find so much strength in the things we think we cannot do.
Absolutely.
So, Sarah, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. Thank you so much for your time and all your words of wisdom. I can't wait to continue to see, where you go and all the incredible things you'll do. And I hope we can connect again soon. But thank you so much for being here. And it's been amazing for all of our viewers. For everyone watching, I'll put all of Sarah's links in the description below. You can go check out her and the Believe Initiative and find more inspiration there. So Sarah, again, thank you, and I cannot wait to connect again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Arissa. This was awesome.
Thank you. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.